I was going to ask, why bother with the labels in a like? I am sorry. Why label yourself as an anything? You know?
Well, because it accurately describes our position on the question of God. I assume you're talking about the label atheist?
Or any label. Just why would you want to try to defend a certain viewpoint? Why not just...
Because it's useful.
Because you could end up changing your mind. And
of course. And then I'll change my label.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me give you one example and see what you think about it. People ask me, what do you do? And I say, I'm a software engineer. That's a label. Is there anything wrong with answering that?
No, but that's your career. That is
sure,
what...
Sure, but it's still a label because, I mean, language... Right. Language is all about communicating things in an efficient way. Like, people are not mind readers, and I could go into a very lengthy explanation of what I do on a day-to-day basis, but I find that when I say I'm a software engineer, that answers a whole lot of questions right out of the gate. And similarly, if people say, are you religious? And I say, no, I'm an atheist. We've got a starting point. That doesn't mean that there doesn't need to be more discussion and explanation after that, but it is helpful to throw out that one word which has a lot of meaning in it so that people can begin to understand where I'm coming from.
All right. Well, I guess that makes sense.
Okay. Do you, where are you coming from?
What do you mean?
Are you atheist, theist? What are your beliefs?
Well, is there I'm a deist to a point.
Okay.
Like, I don't really care about labeling myself, but I'm a deist. But as far as I accept the scientific, discoveries and different things, but I do believe there's a God.
Sure.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Do you, so my understanding of the word deist is that you think that there is a God, but that the God is basically absent from the universe, that he was sort of a guy who started everything and then watched it go and doesn't poke around or care about people's sex lives or whatever. Is that right?
Yes.
So, see, you offered the word deist, and I understood a whole lot about what you think without needing to go into that long-winded explanation, even though I did anyway, right?
Right.
So it's useful, is all I'm saying.
Oh. Well, I could understand that.
Okay.
All right.
Trying to think of something else we could talk about.
Well, what do most people at, how old are you?
14.
Are you, what are you, a freshman in high school?
No, sir.
Okay. So what then?
I am in 8th grade.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, well. So you're still in middle school. Do you have friends that you talk about these subjects with yourself?
Me.
Oh. So just you, huh?
Just you.
Oh, you're homeschooled.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Ah,
okay.
But I'm not, but a free thinker kind of homeschool. That's always been encouraged in my homeschool.
Well,
Sure.
That's good. You should continue that.
Right.
We're not the kind of religious bunch that sit in the back trying to hide from society.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. I just, I hope that you have, and I know lots of other homeschooled kids still have a lot of opportunities to come in contact with other people and have conversations. And I'm glad you called us because we like having those kind of conversations. And I hope that you have more people like that in your life that you can talk to and bounce ideas off of.
I agree. And you do know I'm a boy, right? I am a male.
I could tell, and that's also a label.
Yeah.
There goes Jack.
Which is fine. I mean, yes, I suspected that you identified as male, but even if you hadn't, it'd be fine.
Because last time I called Ron Baker or Baker.
Don Baker. Yeah.
Don Baker. I don't know why I said Ron. And Matt Dillahunty, and they said she was going to hang up on us.
Oh.
Well, sometimes people make mistakes in the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all right. Like I said, my voice has always been kind of weird in a sense.
Well,
you're still young.
That's okay. You still express yourself very well, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
And I was also going to ask you a question. It's like, okay, you were talking about evolution, and you were talking about how people in the school system, people are trying to, with intelligent design and creation, people are trying to kind of cover up evolution. Like, no, you don't need to learn this. You need to, learn intelligent design.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask, well, do you think it's fair that we not only do we teach evolution in school, but we try to teach creation as well? Like,
no,
not really. Let me put it another way. In school, we try to teach enough things that will equip kids to understand the current information about the world around them. So we spend a lot of time teaching like math at varying levels, and we spend a lot of time teaching like United States history to kids who live in the United States. We try to teach civics so that they understand how government works. We try to teach them accurate science to the best of our knowledge. If a group came along and said, hey, listen, I think that calculus is offensive.
Yeah.
And I don't want you guys to teach calculus anymore. I want you to teach people about magic number manipulating elves, because the right way to find the answer to what is the area under a curve is to ask the elves and write down the number that comes into your head. We'd be against that. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Now, is the Creation Museum in Kentucky that Ken Ham created? That's not fun? That's not funded by the government or anything, is it?
No,
actually, yes, kind of.
It through tax breaks.
Right.
Yeah.
They got a lot of tax breaks and they have actually a complicated history where some other governor came in and tried to revoke the funds that had been given to this group for their misleading fake science museum, and they basically, the Creation Museum sued them to get the money back, and they won, which we think sucks for the state of Kentucky, but that's what happened. But it's not just funded by the government, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, because I was, I don't know, never mind.
Okay.
Yeah. I just got done talking to the Talk Heathen, and I had everything laid out, and I had a good conversation with them. And it's like, now they get on here, it's like I thought I had everything planned out, and now it's like, it's kind of embarrassing because it's like, hey, I'm kind of stuck on stupid. I don't know what to say.
No, you're not. Look, you're not stuck on stupid.
Look, you are stuck on 14. That's the worst thing that can be said about you. Everybody learns stuff over time. Not anybody knows anything, or as my friend Daniel says, we have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best things you can do is learn to recognize and acknowledge when you make mistakes so that you can correct them and not make those mistakes all your life. That's part of growing up, and it's no big deal.
Okay. But again, with the creation thing, it's like, okay, you have, I mean, why do people still think that that's a reasonable debate? Why do they think it's like, okay, it's a balanced argument? It's like, okay, you got evolution on this side and you got creation on this side, and they can, for some reason, we're still having this argument, but yet at the same time, it's like, it's not even a comparable thing. One's backed up by evidence and the other's backed up by faith.
Right.
True.
And that's why it's not taught in schools, is because creationism and intelligent design are religious arguments. They're not based on science. So we're still having this debate because there's still people out there who they're frankly making money off of pushing what they think is a controversy. It's a completely non-controversial concept in biology. You know, that evolution happened, it's real.
Right.
Yeah.
And the job of science classes in school is to teach science,
right?
Not to teach, you know, the personal pet religious theories of whatever group happens to have the ear of the education department.
Right. What about the young Earth? Like, I want to know how, in creationism, they have to believe the Earth is only 6,000 years old. Like, how does that affect their faith?
Well, they don't have to believe it. There's different, like, schools of thought within the creation community. So there's the young Earth.
I know you have old Earth.
Yeah, you have young Earth creationists, you have old Earth creationists, and even among the young Earth creationists, they can't decide if it's 6,000 years or 10,000 years or something else. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. You'd have to ask them what their justification is for pinning that down to, 6,000 or 10,000 or some other number.
Well, I have two grandparents who are young Earth creationists. Yeah. Mm. We argue all the time. We argue all the time. And they and I'm always saying, how, and they say, you're adding on to the Bible. I'm saying, how am I adding on to the Bible? I asked them, you're adding on just as much as I am.
Yeah.
That is true, and it's well said.
It's like you're putting pieces together. It's like you're saying, okay, and they keep saying, in the beginning, and God created the earth in 6 days, and I'm saying, okay, but what does that have to do with when it began?
Yeah.
Why couldn't it have started 13.8 billion years, God taking a break, and then coming back a few billion years later?
Yeah.
And it really just goes to show the egotistical characteristics in humans. I mean, if you think about it, we have to think that we're the center of the universe.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
and that's really what it is. It's like, that's really what religion is. Yeah. It's a way to make people feel comfortable, like creationism. It's like, no, we're not animals. We didn't come from animals. And,
let me make a little, a casual recommendation to you that, well, being homeschooled, you're not going to get necessarily assigned a lot of books about this topic, unless maybe you ask for them and your parents think it's a good idea. But what I would like to recommend is that you approach the question of evolution not as some kind of political controversy, because that's not the main thing. I think what's more important is to understand why it's considered settled science and how we got to this point in the last 150 years or so. So what I'd like to recommend is that you just look for a book about evolution that's recommended at Layman. The one that I found the best personally was The Blind Watchmaker by Richard Dawkins, which I found had a very clear style that was understandable and doesn't push atheism at all. It's just primarily about the science. But I'm sure that people can message me and recommend better books about evolution for someone your age.
Well, my parents get me books all the time.
Okay.
That I ask.
Well, then tell them I said you should check out The Blind Watchmaker.
Right, but they're really understanding. Like I said, they encourage me to be a free thinker. They are really encouraging. In fact, I got, for Christmas, I asked for The Origin of Species, and I got that. Been reading on that.
And I think The Origin of Species is a perfectly good book, but you have to bear in mind that it was written in a style that was that is more reminiscent of the 1850s. Yeah. Is that right? 1859, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And so it's not necessarily the most approachable book, and also it's not necessarily accurate, because there have been 150 years worth of scientific advancement since then. So you might be better off reading something more up to date.
Right. Darwin's still my hero, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he'd appreciate that. All right.
No, I think Darwin would be proud to know that if he was alive today, he'd be proud to know that his theory was proven true.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks for calling, McKinley, and we'll talk to you again some other time.
All right.
All right.
See you
Bye.
around.
Okay.